Supernatural Season 11, Episode 21, All in the Family. This was definitely an interesting episode leading up to the final two, and there are a couple of twists and turns in this one. I think the biggest surprise would kind of have to be the fact that Metatron, I don't know what they chose, why they chose to do this, but they actually made Metatron pretty cool in the last two episodes, and, this one in the last episode. And he makes an actual sacrifice play, which I was very surprised by, and he shows how much he truly loves humanity as a creation, and I guess that came from the centuries of reading books and loving stories and stuff like that, and maybe even living as a human. He went through a lot, much like Cass is like, oh, I'm an angel, and now I'm God for a little bit, and now I'm human for a bit. So maybe it's kind of the same thing, and now he's kind of just seen life as something that's actually worth saving, not just because he lived in it, but because he actually enjoyed a lot of aspects of it. But I was really surprised that he actually made the sacrifice at the end of this episode. I was really surprised by that. Very crazy way to do it, where it looked like Amara basically like crushed him in on himself. So I don't know if God is going to give a crap, which seemingly that's kind of not his deal, which clearly it hasn't been for a while. So I don't know if Metatron's going to get saved somehow at the end, or how this stuff's going to play out. But we had a pretty cool episode. Surprise sacrifice by Metatron. A surprise just appearance in general by Kevin, which was super cool. And God or Chuck, I don't know. I guess I'll be switching back and forth, but he says like, you've been in the veil for too long, and he sends him up to heaven, which I thought was really cool. At first I thought he just flat out revived him, which I thought was interesting because his mother's still alive, so I thought he would kind of give them that chance. But it's like, he's gone, so I'm gonna let him be gone and go to heaven. So I thought that was really cool. So very surprised to see him come back. We have a brand new prophet who seemingly is struck by Amara's god power and not Chuck's god power. So I thought that was very interesting, and it seems to be, they kind of touch on that a little bit, where it's like it kind of only ties him to Amara, but he does know a lot of stuff that other prophets know as well. So he could read like Enochian and stuff like that, and I thought it was pretty cool. I was like, I don't know if they're gonna touch on that a little bit more, but he came in and then he went by the end of the episode, so I was like, oh, I guess not, because I was curious if it would kind of lead to maybe like an answer or something if he was he's in the middle of this fog, and for whatever reason he becomes a prophet at that moment. Maybe it will lead to some sort of answer that maybe God hasn't given, or maybe just something he doesn't think would work anyway, or something like that. And that didn't really happen. So I was kind of surprised, but I was like, oh, well, if he was struck by Amara's god power, then he would be her prophet and not technically Chuck's prophet. So he might know different stuff, and stuff that's more specific to her. But that didn't really happen, and it was fine. I was okay with that, because we do get some more answers with Chuck and his sort of infinite godly exposition, which I don't mind, because there have been a lot of questions, so I don't mind like just the exposition, honestly. But we do find out who the chosen one is, and of course it's Dean, which I think a lot of people might be disappointed by. I remember someone commented that it would be cool if it was Cass, and I think a lot of people would have wanted that, and it would have been very cool because he deserves it after all the craziness he's gone through. Sam and Dean are always, obviously they're the main two, but number three is definitely Cass. He's a part of the team, and he's been away for a long time, of course, with Lucifer taking over and Amara kidnapping him now. And I was really hoping, I was really hoping this would happen, but unfortunately it didn't. I thought for sure that when Cass showed up, or when Lucifer first showed up, that they were gonna have God split them, and he was just gonna take Lucifer out, and then we get Mark Pellegrino back. I just was like, that would be really cool. He was just like, all right, separate you guys. Cass is free. Lucifer's there. Whatever, because they had their awkward exchange, but that kind of just, that was pretty much where it was at. It's like, that sucks. But he would obviously, it would have to be like an actual guest appearance for him to do that, and they still might. Who knows how they're gonna end this season? If who knows? Just who knows? It's like there's gonna be someone who's not there by the end, and I just don't know how that's gonna play out. But it was definitely a fun episode. I really enjoyed it. Their confrontation at the end was interesting too. It was just like, it's been a long time, and they're both kind of disappointed in how things played out, it seemed, with between Lucifer and God, and it was just like, hey, and that's pretty much it. That's kind of how it was, and it was just like, it wasn't exactly awkward. It was just like, their feelings of disappointment on both ends just came, just all was right there, and it was just like there wasn't much to really be said. So I thought that was interesting. It was just how, how it all played out. But he did cure him. He, healed him of all his wounds and stuff. And now we're headed off into the final 2 episodes of the season, which I'm very excited for. But this is definitely a good one. I thought it was really cool getting to see, a bit more of Chuck as God, and finding out, officially what he's going to do, which was fairly obvious, from the last episode with the song. And it's like, it seems like his idea is to kind of do the ultimate sacrifice play. And the only real difference in that is that he doesn't really have like a move that will kill him and Amara, because that was my idea. It's like, oh, maybe he's going to do something that he knows will kill him. It's like an insanely powerful move, almost like smiting someone, and it would be him smiting someone and not just a bunch of angels, and that would destroy Amara as well as himself. But his idea is like, no, I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to make a deal, which was also interesting as well, because it wasn't exactly, in his eyes at least, it's not a death sacrifice. He mentions like, oh, I'd just be caged, which I thought was very cool. It's like, okay, so his plan isn't to sacrifice himself in the permanent sense. It's just, I'd be locked away. She could, maybe torture me or whatever. But at least everything else, my creation, would live on. And I thought that was very surprising. And I don't, like, they kind of tell him, like, that's, Amara's been locked up for a very long time. I don't think the whole deal stuff is going to play out like you might think it will. Like, she kind of just wants you to hurt in general. She's going to destroy anything and everything. Whether you make a deal or not and get locked up, she's going to destroy all of us, like, everything, the universe. So, he's still kind of like, nah, that's not going to happen. So, there's not much they can really say to him. He's God, and he's clearly, based on the past 5-6 seasons, he's made his decision, kind of just be like, I'm out of here. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to do what I want to do. So I don't really see his idea changing in these last 2 episodes. I would love to think that they will, but I don't know. Something's going to happen. And his idea is like, well, if that doesn't work, then the humans will step up. And I don't know where he got that from. I mean, I know Sam and Dean have pulled off some stuff, but clearly, I mean, he chose to step in this time because he knows that they can't handle it. And then at the same time, he's like, you guys can handle it if it doesn't work. So I'm like, I don't know. Your exact plan is because you don't think they can handle it. So I don't know if he's gonna change or what extra stuff they're gonna find out. There's only 2 more episodes, so maybe we will see another hand of God kind of show up. And with Dean, now knowing that he's the chosen one, maybe that's how it'll all play out, and they'll use Lucifer maybe as defense or something like that, and kind of slow Amara down, and then Dean will get the weapon or whatever and try to use it against her. But I'm excited. 2 more episodes. Hopefully God is in both of them, because we've had more than enough time with him gone. So hopefully we just get Chuck the last 4 episodes of the season, and who knows, with how things are going to end. But I'm definitely looking forward to it. Love the dialogue in this. God with dialogue is great. Like, the past 2 episodes have been, it's either been like really dramatic or it's been really, really funny. Because when Sam and Dean were talking, and Dean was like, I had to tell him to cool it with the singing, and Sam's like, you told God to cool it? He's like, yeah, I sleep. Like, I don't care if he's God and he doesn't sleep. I sleep. I need to go to sleep at night. I thought that was really funny. And then when they were at the table and God's sitting between them, he looks to Sam and he's like, I always believed in you. And then he turns to Dean and was like, even if you never had, or even if you lost faith in me. And he kind of throws a really harsh line at Dean, when he's like really early on in the episode when they're first talking, and Sam's super energetic, like, with all the questions, and Dean's just like, we had the worst life and lost each other numerous times, family just like crazy, just chaos, and you just were walking around and doing nothing. And God's like, I know you had a tough upbringing, but I'm not your dad. And I was like, dang, that's a crazy harsh line. But it was very cool, and it was just like, he's technically right, but Dean is also, I would personally say Dean is more right. But we've seen their upbringing, and God is God. He can snap a finger, they're teleporting, and he's healing people and stuff. It's like, could have saved everybody, you're God. But they've had some great dialogue in these past two episodes, so I'm looking forward to more of that. Can't wait to see what happens when God and Amara actually confront each other, because she's already, she's this is probably the first episode we've ever had her truly, or I can't really say she was disgusted with Dean, but she was kind of taken aback. Like, she knew something was off, and it's like he was different to her, and it wasn't that weird connection that they have, which they kind of touched on a little bit. She said something specific, was like something you do is arousing or something like that. It was very specific to make it sexual, but all of that was gone when she realized like kind of what was happening in his head. I was like, that's very interesting, because everything has been, it's you and me, like join me, turn the energy or something weird, and it'll be you as a part of me. And this was like, she took her hand off his face and she backed up and everything. So I don't know if that'll change permanently. If it'll be different, it'll be like that, for the next two episodes. But I certainly love the way that it kind of played out in this one. I think it was really fun. Definitely a great episode. Super random thing. I wish I had the flyer, but for anyone who might be in like I want to say it's in Novi. If you're like Novi, Detroit, Dearborn, if you can get to Novi or Royal Oak, wherever it is, there is going to be a theater showing at one of the Emagine Theatres. I'm going to put this information in the description, but there's going to be a movie showing of the finale in somewhere in, it's either Novi or Royal Oak, I forgot. But if you can get there, it's like $5 or something. So my plan, if I can get covered for work, is to go actually see the finale in a movie theater. That would be insanely amazing to me. So if I do that, I'll be filming that. Hopefully I get the opportunity to do that, because I would love to get some pictures and just do that, because that would be insane. I've never seen an episode of anything in theaters, and I had the one opportunity recently with like an anime show I like, but sadly not enough people bought tickets, so that got canceled. But wanted to mention that for anyone who might be in like the Detroit, Dearborn, Novi, Royal Oak area. That's a giant area. For anyone who doesn't live in Michigan, that's a huge area, but it's somewhere. But like I said, that information will be in the description if you're interested. But definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And I never thought I'd even ask this question, but technically we did have a character die, so whenever a character dies, and it's weird that Metatron would ever even be this important to me, I tend to ask, what you guys thought about that character's death. So even though it's Metatron, I still want to ask you, because it's Metatron. Like, he started off cool, he was really funny, and then of course he was like probably the douchiest villain next to like Dick Roman. Like, that whole thing was just weird, just how they were doing. They're just eating people and turning them into, cows basically. But Metatron, just such a douche the whole time. And then it's like last two episodes is like, crap, I kind of like Metatron a little. So I do have to ask how you guys felt about his death in this episode. I would love to know if you guys think he might actually get revived. I know God's been on a bit of a kick lately, but he could have also done it. I would assume he could have done it in this episode, but also, Amara's power does kind of equal Chuck, so I would assume that anything she does probably would be permanent. Otherwise, he would have, maybe like all the angels she's killed and absorbed and stuff like that, and all the souls she's taken, he could have just been like, those are mine now, and then, she reverts back to like a baby or something. So I'm assuming he's gone forever, unless they officially like kill her off completely. But I would love to know if you guys think that he might actually make a return, and of course what you thought about Metatron's death in general, and of course what you thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.